Are mates real? She finally asked. Are they really a thing? Or is it something that shifters just tell their children?
I don't know,
her father said.
I'd like to think that they're real, but there's no telling honestly. How do you know if you're with the right person or not? I think that's one of the points to life, isn't it?
How do you figure? Danielle raised an eyebrow.
Well,
her father adjusted in his seat and looked at her frankly, not holding anything back anymore. This was good. This was everything that she was looking forward to. There was something that she wanted to hear. She didn't want to have everything sugar-coated for her. She wanted to have everything that was a question plaguing her mind to be brought to an end. With all of this, she thought, there was a chance that she'd finally get those answers.
If you think that the person that you're a mate with is the person that you're with, then aren't you more likely to forgive and to accept things? I mean, if you're thinking that there's someone out there better than who you're with, then you're probably going to give up. But having faith that the person you're with is your mate and your destiny, then you'll be able to make it through anything that comes your way.
I don't think so, her mother said, shaking her head. I think that it's a little more realistic than it is ambiguous. My parents didn't tell me that it was everyone's destiny to have a mate out there. It was something rare that my parents told me. They said that most people didn't actually have mates, but rather there were just people out there that they enjoyed their time with, and that they were really meant to have, but there was something more to others. They said that a very lucky shifter would actually have a mate.
Really? I'd never heard that,
her father said with an amused voice. She looked at him and felt like this was something strange that was so ambiguous that people had passed on from one generation to the next. Was it really something that had passed into legend? Was it that vague to people? She didn't know, but it seemed like a reasonable thing. There were far too many questions about this sort of thing. But her mother did bring up a good point, though. If it was rare, then that would explain why no one knew a thing about it. She looked at her mother and grinned at the thought of it. Why do you ask? Her mother asked, turning her attention from her husband and looking at her daughter with a curious and confused expression on her face. Danielle didn't like this. This was the moment when she was going to have to answer personal questions that she wasn't interested in talking about. In fact, it was kind of scaring her. She was afraid to tell them. It was like bringing home a boyfriend for the first time. Because I felt something strange today, she said honestly, figuring that it was probably better for her to actually tell the truth than to hide it from them. After all, she was an adult, and she didn't need to be scared. She didn't need to hide from them. This was her life, and she was allowed to make decisions and be confused about things such as boys. I met your neighbor, and there was something strange about it. It was like I couldn't handle it. Everything about him was too powerful for me, and I couldn't stop thinking about him all day. It was too strong for me to explain. It was like I had anxiety about him for the rest of the day when we parted ways. I don't know how to properly explain it, but I was telling Molly about it. And then, when we just saw him, I couldn't help but think about it and feel it.